9:30 we got Stanford traveling to number 22 Arizona State. Arizona State favored 13 points on ESPN. Stanford's season has kind of been like, I don't know. Honestly, it's been so confusing to me. They lost their first game of the season, obviously, 24-7 to Kansas State. Literally anyone heading into that game that knew anything about Stanford and anything about Kansas State could have told you that outcome from the minute you said, oh, who do you think's going to win in Stanford and Kansas State? It was just so obvious what was going to happen from the very start. You have Kansas State returning Skylar Thompson, in his like 7th year starting for the Wildcats. You have Deuce Vaughn, who's very good at running back. Malik Knowles has been awesome. You return all that talent on offense in your Kansas State. Your defense is always solid because it's the Wildcats. Their defense is always extremely solid. And then you're like, oh, we'll just switch off their quarterbacks. We'll have a dual quarterback system. Anyone who knows anything about football would tell you dual quarterback systems very, 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 very rarely work. My last previous example was Arkansas State, which has gone so far downhill, I don't know if it's a good 2 QB system anymore. I could not name you. The closest I could come is Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston in New Orleans, but that's not even like a 2 quarterback system. That's just Taysom Hill playing different positions and taking the snap at quarterback sometimes and running the football. Dual quarterback systems never work, and that's why they lost 24-7. They decided after that week, oh, we'll start someone. What a grand idea to start a quarterback. Not 2 quarterbacks, to start a quarterback. What a novel concept, Stanford. And you know what happened that week? They won 42-28 at number 14 USC. Now, since then, USC has gone down dramatically. The next week after that, they had a 41-23 win at Vandy. Then they lost the week after that, very disappointing loss. For them, a 35-24 loss against then number 24 UCLA. But then they come back, and I was thinking, I didn't predict it. I thought Oregon was going to win this football game, but I thought it was going to be close. They're coming off a huge upset, 31-24 win in overtime over number 3 Oregon. Now, to be fair to Oregon, the refs really kind of screwed them over at the end. They were calling some PI calls that I'm like, what? There was one of them where I was like, what the heck? That's not PI. Like, there's no way that's PI at all. Like, there is no way in my mind that it could be deciphered as PI. Now, the last one, I could see. I honestly could see that, and when everyone's complaining about it, but the one that got them inside the 10-yard line to make it and goal, that wasn't PI. It wasn't even close to PI. It was, like, so not PI, it literally made me so angry. Because no one was talking about it in the comment section of the highlights. And it's like, you guys are complaining about the one that could be PI. Like, it could be deciphered as... Now, I feel like there's an argument to be made that it's not PI. That one was 100% not PI. It was really annoying to me. But Stanford did come out to win. And again, Tanner McKee is a very solid quarterback. He went last week 20-36, 2 for 230 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Nathaniel Pete on the ground had 15 carries for 78 yards. And Elijah Higgins had 6 catches for 62 yards and a touchdown. Like at Arizona State, this season has gone a little bit, like, honestly, it hasn't gone horribly because I'll explain it to you. They had a 41-14 win against Southern Utah, and then they had a 37-10 win against UNLV. Then they had this 27-17 loss at number 23 BYU, right? But since then, BYU has climbed into the top 10. So, no longer to me is that a bad loss. Like, you played a good team on the road, tough. I mean, that's not horrible if you're Arizona State. And honestly, you look at the rest of the schedule for Arizona State, you already got the tough one out of the way in UCLA, right? As long as you beat Stanford, you could go undefeated down the stretch. Now, Utah might give you a little bit of a fight, but I don't think Utah's as good as they were at the beginning of the year. And then USC's not good this year. It's like, wow, this is Arizona State's division to win. It really is. Even if they lose this game, which I don't think they should, they still have lost the same amount of games as UCLA has in conference, and they have the tiebreaker. So, I mean, Arizona State should win this thing. And then they obviously had the 35-13 win against Colorado, and then last week the 42-23 win at number 20 UCLA that I predicted. Jaden Daniels last week then 13 and 19 threw for 286 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Cod White, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I've never heard it pronounced because I've yet to watch a Arizona State game, which makes me really sad to think about. I think I might have watched the end of the BYU game. But I haven't gotten to see them play well, which is really disappointing to me because I really do have a lot of faith in the Sun Devils this year. Ricard White had 9 carries for 69 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Ricky Pearsall had 4 receptions for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, how has the series gone before? Arizona State has a barely advantage. They have a 17-15 lead in the series, but the last 2 have gone Stanford's way. So it's a little bit interesting here. Stanford wins this game, they make it a 17-16 series, and man, very close to tying that thing up. But Arizona State is, in my opinion, they're one of my favorite college football teams this year. And like I said in the last video, or if you're watching the long video, as I said a few minutes ago, every single team that I'm talking about deserves a certain amount of respect. I think Arizona State deserves a good amount of respect, right? They are one of the last 3 teams in the Pac-12 that still has a playoff shot, right? They honestly do have a legitimate playoff shot. If you just think about it a little, if they win this game against Stanford, which is, granted, not an easy win. Stanford is playing a very high level. This should make for a very good game. Tanner McKee versus Jaden Daniels makes for some fireworks. But you think about it just a little. You have Arizona State. As long as they win this football game, you don't have that much competition in the South. You already played your toughest team in the South in UCLA, and you beat them. You could easily be heading into that Pac-12 championship game with that only one loss, and that one loss being a top 10 BYU team, right? So that just makes it really interesting. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think the Sun Devils are a better team than Stanford, but I thought Oregon was a better team than Stanford last week. We'll see what happens. I like the Sun Devils here. I think they're going to stay alive in the playoff conversation.